Okay, what is going on? What is going on? Today we are going to be answering your back pain questions. Okay, so I'm taking questions and I have some questions that people have sent to me, and I'm going to answer them to the best of my ability. So if you do have a question and you want me to answer the question, just comment and ask your question, and I will get to it. But the whole point of today's conversation is just for me to help you out and answer the question that you might have. Okay, so I know there's lots of confusion around back pain and what to do and what not to do and all that good stuff. And so I just want to do my best to try to help and give you some guidance. Okay, so like I said, there's been a few questions that have been sent in already, and I'm going to start with those. And then in the meantime, if you have questions, and you may have a question for later. So like if you're watching this, you're like, I don't have time to watch this right now. You can DM me. So if you're on Instagram, you want to DM me your question, I'll add it to the list. And when I do these, when I answer these questions, then you can get your question answered then. If you're watching on YouTube or some other platform, just comment below to ask your question, or you can ask it now. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's jump into this. First question I have here is, some days I feel okay, then randomly pain flares up again. Why does that keep happening even when I'm being careful? Okay, so that's a great question. The random pain triggers. Wondering why pain is happening, right? And typically, you're thinking, hey, I'm being careful, as in I'm not bending over, right? I'm not like bending over and like bending my back, for example, or I'm not lifting things, or I'm not running, or I haven't gone to the gym, like these types of things. But when you're in a really chronic pain state, you could be subconsciously triggering pain through like micro habits. Okay, so like I like to use the analogy of an energy bar. So energy bar is like a video game, right? So you have this energy bar, and it's like your capacity, right? Even people who don't have chronic pain have this, but just work with me here. So you have a back problem, sciatic issue, something like that, and now you do these micro movements. So like sitting is a classic one. So you might go and sit down and you feel fine. You're like, I feel good, no problems, don't have any issues right now. This is fine. This doesn't hurt. I'm all good. And then you sit and you sit and you sit, and as you're sitting, no pain has happened yet. But then your energy bar is like going down, and then maybe you get up and you start, you have to go into the kitchen or something like that, and then you start like kind of just slightly bending forward. It doesn't hurt right away, but then at some point, boom, the energy bar hits bottom, and you're like, oh man. And sometimes it happens the next day. Like you make it through the whole day, you go to sleep, and then when you're sleeping at night, inflammation happens, or your discs, they separate, and then you wake up and you're in even more pain, right? So sometimes it's just like these little tiny habits that you're not even aware of, and then you might not be actually like tracking the actual pain, tracking the actual movements that could cause pain. So that might be one thing, is where you just need to get more specific on exactly how you're tracking things. Okay, so that's one thing. Flare-ups can also be part of the healing process, right? So the body heals in waves. I always say like progress is not like completely linear, right? So like I have a back pain recovery matrix that I have, and it kind of it displays the up and down nature of chronic back pain recovery. Okay, and so this back pain recovery matrix depicts this kind of up and down, and that's just to say that flare-ups are literally part of the process, right? It's like you can't, it's not linear. Okay, so sometimes you're doing the right things, and the flare-up is just, it has to happen. Maybe you started feeling a little bit better, you started moving a little bit better, and then boom, you get the flare-up because you're moving past that capacity limit, right? Because you were feeling better, right? So it's like, oh, you're doing the work, and you have a regression, and then you go back up again. Right, so that can be one thing that takes place. Okay, and then the other thing is like realistically, like a good day doesn't mean the system is fully stable yet. So it means like the nervous system is momentarily calmer. So like you may have a good day then a bad day, but like you're still recalibrating, you're still breaking that chronic pain cycle that you might be in. And that's important because if you're in a chronic pain cycle, like this is not just like you hurt your back, your pain is going to be connected to a whole bunch of other things. It's not just going to be like a structural thing, right? And this is why I like using the analogy of an energy bar, because it speaks more to the nature of chronic pain and how when you're in this queued up state, you're in this fight or flight state, or if you're really stressed out. Like I have clients who like are doing awesome, and then they have to like do a bunch of stressful work, for example. And I don't mean physical, like it's just stressful work, like they're not sleeping as much, and then their pain flares up, or they go through some emotional situation and their pain flares up because their back is like their weakest link, right? It's the area that has been like the focal point of all their pain. And so like when they have these physiological pain, these psychological pain, this overall central nervous system issue, then that's what gets attacked, right? So it could just be that as well, right? The other thing is just fear of movement or overguarding. Okay, so I see this all the time too, where like you're so scared to move, and so because of that, you're in that fight or flight state, which is like a hyper pain state anyways, like you're already more like queued up to pain, but then the muscles are tight, like you're like locked up, right? You're like, oh man. And so the muscles have tension, and then it like flares up later, right? So that fear of movement causes the actual flare up. And then one thing that you can do, like just this a little thing, like I have a whole bunch of episodes on this, so if you want to see the podcast where I talk about this, but like you can ask yourself, did I sit longer than usual, or was I stressed, or did I skip movement, or did I overdo movement? I have a full like a protocol in this, okay? So if you want any of these things, by the way, so everything I talk about, I have a training on it that's for free. So just comment back pain and I'll send it to you, just FYI. So I do have a protocol on spine hygiene or how to plan your day, okay? So just DM me or send me a comment and I will send it to you, okay? Okay, we have another question here. How do I please solve a recurring issue with the tight QL? It flares up every preseason for cricket. Left hamstring also presents as tight, but is strong, and I believe is a neural issue. Okay, so just a question here. You're asking about a tight QL muscle, and your tight and a tight hamstring muscle. Yeah, I can't. That's tough. Like I need more on that. I'm here to answer more like general questions. This is something where I'd have to like ask you a bunch of questions to get context, and then ask you like what causes pain. What I would say for you is to be very aware of what motions cause pain. Now you're playing a sport where you're swinging, so there's a lot of rotation. And then the question I have for you is the QL, is it opposite your tight hamstring? So like, is it your left QL and your right hamstring, for example? Sorry, left hamstring and right QL. So let me know about that, and then maybe I can answer your question a little bit more. Another question here. I've had back pain now for almost 2 weeks just from trying to sweep the floor once lower back right above tailbone. Should I be worried? Well, first of all, this is a YouTube question. I don't believe you should be worried. I guess the question is should you be concerned and do something about it? Yes. So absolutely. Anytime you have pain like this, your body is speaking to you. Okay. Now, the likelihood is that this back pain, obviously, because the question here, you said it's just from trying to sweep the floor once lower back, right? So like the question I have for you is, did this pain come from the sweeping? Right? Or is this something that happened before and you're saying I can't sweep? I guess that's the big question here. But I'll answer the question as if you're saying I have back pain so bad I can barely sweep. So yeah, what typically happens with back pain, things like that, is it's actually the result of like a buildup. It's almost like when you have your moment of like throwing your back out, it's like the cherry on top. It's not that moment that threw your back out. It was all the dysfunction, all the poor movement that may have happened before that. And so, for you sweeping, Yeah, you said you extended to sweep and froze. Yeah. So that sweeping was just the cherry on top. Okay. So you likely have been building up maybe months or even years of movement dysfunction. That was your back pain moment. Okay. And the back pain moment is the moment where you throw the back out. But that's not the thing that hurt it. It could have been that over and over and over and over and over multiple times, chipping away slowly. It could have been that, the way you sweep. And if you're sweeping a lot, yeah, absolutely, that could be a reason. So what I want you to think about is, first of all, make sure you send a comment, and I will send you my back pain solutions, a free program that'll help build you back up and give you some idea exactly what you might be doing. But when it comes to this here, the likelihood is that it's just movement dysfunction. Okay. Now, obviously, I can't say what this is. I'm not there to assess you, and you don't have any imaging or anything like that. But I wouldn't worry too much about that. What I would focus on is making sure that you can get better as far as like healing yourself. So send me a comment, back pain. I'll send you the back pain solution, and this is going to be a thing that can actually really just get you going here. You exercise regularly. Yeah, I could ask you a bunch of other questions to try to get a little bit more context. But what I'm gonna get you to do instead is I'm gonna get you to just grab the back pain solution. If you have more questions and you want to reach out to me, you'll find a way to reach out to me there. I put the link in the chat there on YouTube, so you can do that. Check it out, okay? Yeah, because if you're active, there could be a whole bunch of other reasons, but most of it's probably movement dysfunction, okay? Glenn, my pain start from my back and it reach my foot. It burns and I get heavy. The doctor only gave me pain tablet. I'm a teacher. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Glenn. So I cannot officially prescribe you or give you like a prescription here or like tell you to do something, but and I can't assess you is what I'm actually trying to say but when you have those sensations, it's 100% nerve related. Something is being compressed. It could just be from like some muscle issues where it's like squeezing the nerve, like piriformis syndrome is a common one. But the likelihood is it's probably something to do with your lumbar area and some discs, and there's some compression happening. I can't say without, obviously seeing some imaging, but for sure there's some issue there. And so you're going to want to try to take care of that. Now, the one thing I will say with you though is, again, grab that back pain solution, which I put in the chat there. It's literally a resource that's going to help guide you a little bit, give you some input, give you some advice, and protocols to follow to actually figure out what's going on. Okay. Should you be trying to stretch and work my back out, or just take the time and rest? So first of all, take the time and rest. And then second thing, get my back pain solution, where I will tell you exactly what to do. It's free. It's a free program. So like you can just click the link, grab it. It's completely free. I will guide you through the path. But the thing is if you're in a lot of pain and you try to do exercise right now, you could cause more pain, specifically if you're not doing the right exercise, right? And at this point, probably rest is going to be more important. But as I said, grab the back pain solution. It's going to guide you through exactly what you should and should not be doing. But again, I can't say for sure. But I would say do not stretch. Stretching, I'll kind of give you a quick idea here. So when it comes to stretching, a lot of times people just say, hey, I got to stretch. And it's not that stretching is bad per se, but when you're in a bunch of pain and you don't know why, it could be a nerve issue, it could be other, and you just start stretching areas, you could run into some serious issues. You could actually be making it worse, and we don't want that, right? A lot of times what your body needs is just to rest. And then after that, maybe to build up some stability. I like to focus on stability first. So manage your pain on one side and then build up some stability and some really fundamental movements on the other side. Okay. Okay. What other questions do we have? Any other questions in the chat here? Okay. I'm going to go to one of the questions that were submitted online to me. Okay, so here's a good one here. So they're asking about, I've been told to strengthen my core, but I've tried and nothing has changed. Is that even the answer. Okay, so the core, whatever the core is I think what most people see it as is pretty vague, because like, what does it actually mean? Is it your abs, right? Is it your back? What is it, right? I think most people get caught in the thing of like, they're doing like, oh, I'm just doing planks and I'm doing sit-ups, for example. And they're like, this is it. I'm doing the core, I'm doing leg lifts, I'm hanging, and I'm doing the stuff that you see people building their obliques, like building those muscles on the side, or they're building their abs. They got to have the six pack. But that's not what training your core is with regards to stabilizer muscles. And so most people are overtraining abs and they're skipping deep stabilizers. And the biggest one is glutes. And even you want to throw in breathing mechanics in there, but there's a connection between your glutes, your lower back, your hips, your deep core muscles. Someone earlier asked about your QL muscles, your quadratus lumborum. They're on the side. They're the ones that kind of like help you go like this. They also stabilize you. They also help you bend forward. There's all these muscles. If I pull up the anatomy, you're gonna be like, what the heck? This is crazy. And so it's not just about just doing planks, for example. Like the true core, or like getting your core back right, really means restoring coordination, control, reflexive strength. Okay. And so if you have poor movement patterns, and I was talking about this earlier, when the person asked about like sweeping, for example, how their back went out when they were sweeping, that could have been a result of a whole bunch of poor movement patterns while they were working out, and while they were sweeping, and while they're just moving around the world, right? So if you have those poor movement patterns, adding strength can reinforce bad habits, and it can make things worse, right? And that's the thing. Like, so there's a way to do this. Think movement before muscle, I think, is the best way. So train your body to move well first, then strengthen with that new pattern. I think that's a very underrated thing that people don't always factor in, is really just like, hey, am I doing this the right way? Okay. And so again, like I said, I do have my program, the Back Pain Solution. It's a free program. It's my way to give back and help as many people as possible. It's literally in the chat. If you're on Instagram, it's in the link in my bio. It's going to show you what movements to do, what to avoid, what protocols to apply to your life, how to analyze if you're actually beating up that energy bar, how to build up the energy bar, how to avoid pushing through pain. So go check it out if you haven't already. And if you have questions, just drop them. Okay, drop them in the comments, and I'm going to do my best to answer them. If there's no questions from the audience, I will just go to the submitted ones. I have a few more that I can answer. So if you do have questions, make sure you submit them, because once I answer all these other questions, I'm going to jump off. All right, I need some water here. Okay, what other question do I want to answer here? Okay, someone asked about, is it possible that stress or emotions are making back worse? It just feels physical. Yes. Okay. So can stress or emotions make your back pain worse? Yes. 100% yes. Okay. Your nervous system and tissues, they're all connected. Chronic stress can equal chronic tension. Okay. And so when you're stressed out, so think about it. Let's just assume like, okay, you've hurt your back. You have a disc issue, right? Your disc is your lumbar, one of your lumbar discs is pushing on your sciatic nerve, and you have all the sciatic symptoms. Your leg feels like it's burning. You're in the worst shape ever, right? Obviously, you're already stressed. And this is why, like, sometimes just taking like a painkiller can just take the edge off or calm you down a little bit, to be like, okay, I can relax, right? Because you're stressed and you're guarded, right? And so over time, though, when it's chronic, this is like every day, for months or even years, you're just dealing with it. You kind of normalize to it, so the pain doesn't necessarily go away, but it becomes normal. And so like you either adapt to the level of pain, your tolerance builds, but like you're kind of living your daily life. And now something stressful happens, right? And you have this physical damage in this area, or this irritation in this area, this stressor in this area. and now something happens in your life, right? A serious situation, an emotional situation, or it's just stress in your work or your job. Like stress alone, and you just go look on WebMD if you really want to get medical about it. Go search up the effects of stress. Go do it, right? All sorts of stuff to do it. It destroys your heart, all sorts. It's crazy, like what stress is actually capable of doing, right? And so what it does in the short term, though, like it alters your breathing, it can alter your posture, your muscle. It can make everything feel tight and actually tighten up. You can start breathing shallow, small breaths that are not like actually like natural breaths. Like everything kind of like tightens up on you, right? And it feeds into your back pain. What I say is like, you know, your weakest link is, it's like your Achilles heel, right? It's your area that's been compromised, and so because it's compromised, it just gets attacked, right? And so pain really is a signal that's interpreted by the brain. That's what it is, right? Is literally, you know, it's not to say that nothing's happening, but in this case, there is ways to cut off your ability to feel pain, even if there's damage, right? And so if your brain is under stress, that signal can get amplified, right? You can be more in that fight or flight state. You can be more in that, like, you know, I'm amped up. I got to protect myself. I'm tight. I feel more pain, right? So pain signals can be amplified. And so if you're stressed, even, and this doesn't have to be like, I'll touch it. This can just be like rumination. This can be psychological stress. This can be emotional stress. This can be like, I'm not sleeping enough stress. It can be a lot of things, right? So if you've ever noticed like a flare up happens during work deadlines, or like family conflict or bad sleep, it's no coincidence, right? Your body is all connected. And so the solution isn't really to just relax, because like, you know, you might be saying, oh, like I was moving too much, so I just gotta like stay off my feet. It's to train your nervous system, right? You need it to react differently, essentially. Okay. And so you got, at one point, on one side of things, you're like fixing your issue, but on the other side of things, like your physical issue, like, oh, I'm rebuilding my body, I'm focusing on my posture, I'm not pushing through pain when I'm training, I'm allowing my body to heal. But on the other side, if this turns into a chronic issue, one where you've been dealing with it for months or even years, what happens, this is the scary part, what happens is it becomes like normalized. And then each time you have like this bad thing that happens in your life, the pain will come back. And then chronic pain is just like a normal cycle. It's a habit. Your body's just like used to it, and then it keeps showing up there. So there's some things you can do from a mental standpoint. I did, again, a whole video on this as well. You can check out my channel, check out the podcast, Changing Your Perspective on Back Pain on YouTube. In there, I actually go over some things you can do to start to break that cycle. Okay, one of them is a 90-90 position, where you focus on some long exhale breathing. So the idea with this would be, you know, you just you lay on the ground, you put your legs up on like a chair like this, right? In that 90-90 where you're on the ground, you put something under your head. You might put something under your back for support if it feels good, and just relax. And you'll do deep breaths, breathe into your stomach, you put a hand on your stomach. You'd breathe in, like say for 4 seconds, and then breathe out for 6. So you don't have to do 4-6, but that's a nice cadence. The out breaths are longer than the in breaths. Okay, this is going to put you into a parasympathetic state. It's going to calm your nervous system. And if you can do this more often, not even just when you're all queued up in pain, but maybe even just as a way to like calm down, you're going to get more connected with your body. Something that I always talk about is mind-body connection. Mind-body connection. And we often, as people who suffer from chronic pain, what happens? Well, you actually start to disconnect from your body because it's in pain and you just want it to shut up. But what we need to start doing, and what we should be doing, is reconnecting with our body and listening to our body, because we've been pushing our body away for long enough. And now it's time to listen. It's time to, you know, I mean, maybe you never listened. That's why it had pain, right? You're like, oh, that's just tightness. Don't worry about it. That's just tightness. It's fine. And then eventually, boom, you know, you throw your back out. Because I had that moment. I suffered with chronic back pain forever, like literally for 15, 20 years, played college basketball. You know, it's a whole other story, but I really had to get worked on all the time and get supported all the time just to be able to play. And realistically, I remember, I would hurt my back, or it'd be really tight, and I would just like get warmed up, and then after that it would go away, And then I remember the time that it actually went. I was doing a workout, and I felt it, and the next day I woke up, and then that's when I had the sciatica, the electric jolt shooting down the leg, and that's, I guess, why I'm here now. So, but again, I was not listening to my body back then. I would literally just, things would get tight and whatever, it's fine, it's not that big of a deal. I literally had to get smacked in the face and brought down to the absolute like floor. Literally, I was sleeping on the floor, but like my leg was paralyzed. The back of it was paralyzed, where I couldn't feel my glutes, I couldn't feel my hamstrings, I couldn't feel my calf. Half my foot was numb. And it had to get that bad for me to take my back pain seriously. Whereas previously I would throw my back out all the time. It would get tight. So I guess I say all this just to say, like, it's so important that you listen to your body. It's so important that you build a mind-body connection. It's so important that you understand that chronic pain, it's not just about your back anymore. If you've been suffering for 6 months to, 1 year, 2 years, I have clients who've, before they came to me, suffered for 10 plus years. If that's you, or if you've had multiple surgeries, you cannot, and I mean this, you cannot just say, I just got to fix my back. Those days are over. Actually, so much so that the actual physical issue may be gone. And that's the crazy part. Like, your disc may have gone back in, whatever back issue you had before, may be gone. Okay. And I know that's hard to maybe to believe, but if it's chronic, you're probably dealing with a lot more than just that localized back pain. You might feel it there, but it's now connected into who you are. It's now become this, like, chronic pain is the way you live. It's like a normal state for you. And so you have to break that cycle. And movement and training is a part of it, but there's also the mindset part. There's also the acceptance part. There's a lot to it. Okay. A little bit of a rant there, but I think it just had to be said. Okay. We're going to wrap up here in about 4 minutes. So if anyone has any questions, I will answer them. Any last questions here, I will answer those questions. Otherwise, we are going to jump off soon. And again, if you're just watching now and you wanted to ask me a question, I'm jumping off. If you're on Instagram, just DM me, ask me the question, I'll answer you. And if you're on YouTube, for example, just comment on the video. Even if you're watching this on the replay, comment, I'll answer. And if you're looking for solutions for all this, just DM back pain or comment back pain on the video. I'll send you my free back pain solution. Really, it just goes through all the things that you need to be able to start to tackle this. It's my gift to you to really be able to start to tackle this, because again, I know how difficult this can be. I've been through it myself, and I built this program to be able to really help people solve their back pain issues, or at least start to. And I think sometimes you just need a little assist, and I'm hoping that the back pain solution can be that little assist for you. Okay, so just take advantage of it if you can. Okay, I'm going to show you something real quick here. So this is my back pain recovery matrix. Get this out of here. Okay, so I'm just going to move this out of my face. You're watching. Actually, I'll make it big so you can see it. I'll keep my face behind it. But back pain recovery graph here. Okay, so this is typically what I see. People, I'll zoom in here. They start here, right? And then after that, they'll get better. They start tackling their problem. This is actually a question about the flare-up that came up earlier. If I keep having flare-ups, you're doing the right things. You're getting better. You get better. You're up here. You're like, yes, I'm on top of the world. I'm back. And then you start getting worse, and you plummet almost back to where you were, and you're like, what the heck is going on? This is not where you give up. Right? You don't give up here. If you give up, then nothing happens. You got to keep going, and then you're going to get better. Then you're going to be up here, and then boom. And this happens because your body's adapting to the new stimulus that you're giving it. And also, it takes time to break this chronic pain cycle that you're in, right? So it's an up and down journey. And so just do not give up, right? Do not give up. But make sure, in saying all that, I just want to make sure you understand, in saying all of that, I do want you to understand that you have to make sure you're doing the right things. And you're thinking, well, how the heck do I know if I'm doing the right things? Well, just make sure, well, first of all, get my back pain solution. Just comment back pain or DM me back pain. I'll send it to you. Again, it's free. But the other thing is do they make you feel better? So do the movements make you feel better? Are you able to progress them in a way that doesn't have you pushing through pain? Okay, so you don't want to be pushing through pain. So if they're progressive, meaning you can do a low level and then build up slowly over time, whether that be reps, amount of reps you do, or the amount of sets you do, or the complexity of the exercise, right? So without getting into detail, but just like imagine doing a push-up on your knees versus doing a push-up on your feet. I'm just using a push-up as an example. That would be a progression, right? One is harder than the other. If you're able to do movements progressively in a way that does not trigger your back pain, then you're on the right track, okay? Just remember that, okay? So don't push through the pain. And are you able to progress the movements, okay? And always, even when you're feeling better, always do just a little bit less, right? Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm feeling great. And then you push and then boom, right? So if you always just work right below that pain tolerance, and when it comes to pain, if this is your pain in a specific movement and you do the movement and then you hit that pain, each rep you do after, you just stay right below it, right? You tap it, you don't push through, you don't blast through. Otherwise that pain will just get more increased, okay? All right, that is all I have. Again, like I said, DM me back pain. I will send you my back pain solution, my free program with protocols, workouts, everything to get you started on this journey. And hopefully just solve all your problems, but at least get you started, right? That's the biggest thing. It's like, where do I start? This is where you start, okay? If you have any questions, DM me on Instagram, comment below on this video or any of my videos on YouTube. If you're on YouTube watching me, follow me on Instagram. It's DARCYCOSS. It's Darcy Coss. If you're following me on Instagram, go follow me on YouTube because I have way more content going on there. If you like to actually dig in, I've pretty much been doing a podcast like this almost every day. Okay, so that is all for me. I am out of here. I appreciate everybody and good luck in your healing journey.